to call you what I want to call you. You just keep the great information coming. First of all, Kim, I know you've been on the road. Have you gotten any rest?
A little.
Okay.
I got that. It's been an interesting past, 10 days? But
Yes,
it's been
at
good.
least 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask that. Maybe I was going to ask this at the back end, but I think I'm going to ask it at the front end now because with you being gone a cost, that means that Larry has to step up and do a little bit more. And so, Larry, how's the last 10 days been?
It's been interesting. You've got the company and all of the other projects that we've got going on, and then plus we've got to take care of the little one. And so it's been an interesting 10 days. I'm happy that Kim is back.
Of course, until the next time.
Yeah, right.
But it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
We can laugh about it because we know that it's for the good of lots of things, and that's why we're here today to talk about that. Kim, you were at the 53rd International Paris Air Show that was held from June 17th to the 23rd at the Exhibition Center of Le Bourget, a few kilometers north of Paris.
That's correct.
The Paris Air Show, this is something that I know I've heard a lot about from being at the City Hall now for almost 7 years. The mayor is a regular visitor there, as well as other local leaders. I know this chamber chair usually goes, and the chamber president and other kinds of people make this trip as well. Tell me a little bit about the trip.
Well, the trip is actually a chance for us as a community, along with, actually this one is the largest delegation we've had from the state. There's like 120 people from the whole state of Alabama that were there representing the state in various...
Statewide?
Statewide, yeah.
Different roles?
Different roles, different communities, different aspects of it, just to make sure that the whole state was represented. Because, we've got everything from the aerospace companies here in Huntsville down to, a manufacturer of Airbus down in Mobile.
That's a great point.
So we've got aerospace and aeronautical. There you go.
Aeronautical.
Things.
Forgive me because you've been trying.
It is, sorry.
It's all good.
Jet lag.
Yeah, it is. Believe me, it really is. But there's a lot of things that are going on in the whole entire state. So that's why we had a huge delegation there to support the state. And it's one of those things where it's an opportunity for us to find out what's going on in other parts of the state, too. Because not only do we meet with companies from all over the world, we actually met a couple meetings with the other people within the state, so that way everybody's abreast, and when you're actually selling the state of Alabama, you kind of have a broad idea of what's going on.
And at the core of this trip, of course, is economic development. It's an opportunity to talk about what's already happening in the state and perhaps building new relationships and partnerships.
It is, because, one thing about it, it's a chance for us. I know there's several companies that we've been talking to for years. This is my second air show to go to, and I know some of the companies were ones we talked to last year, and it was a follow-up conversation. It was a chance to make sure that we're still maintaining those relationships, because we all know that all business economic development is based on a lot of relationships and things that are offered. So we wanted to make sure that we continue those conversations to still continue to build those reinforce those relationships so we can build those businesses. I know one in particular, I know we had talked to them about 4 years ago, and now they're actually a company here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Right.
So it's a continuous thing. It's a lot of work, but it's good.
And although it's not all congested around the Paris Air Show, the chamber, anytime somebody from the chamber goes out in the community, they're saying things like, at any given point, there are 40 to 50 different projects in development. And so what we see when we see these big announcements is really the result of these kinds of finessing and fine-tuning and really understanding the landscape of what's going on, which is a big part of what this trip is all about, too.
It is, because that's the only way you're going to find out is to actually go out, see what other things are happening in other communities, what people have to offer. So that way, when you're looking for those opportunities, that's how you find out.
Yeah.
You've got to be there and be present to know what's going on.
Right.
Absolutely. And, of course, while you're there, then the big announcement about Deloitte's major gift of $100,000 to the Alabama School Cyber Technology and Engineering Foundation. That's a big deal.
It is. That was a company that's here locally that wanted to make sure that they gave the check to the cyber school, and it was opportunity for all those people to be there in one location to actually give that opportunity to present that check. So it was actually a very good thing. And one of the other things that happened during the show was actually the kickoff of the Apollo. We've got the celebration coming up here in July. So actually 3 of the astronauts that will be participating in that will actually be here on site in July. So we actually had a chance to meet with them, and they actually had the kickoff of that ceremony while we were there in Paris.
You guys pretty excited about this 50th anniversary? Of course, I'm thinking about it from the perspective of, gee, I watched Neil Armstrong land on the moon. But,
well, I was 2 when that happened, but I'm very excited about it personally, because I do remember, even though I was 2, it was a big deal, obviously. My grandparents said, sit your butt down and watch this on TV. And I remember going outside looking, trying to see the man on the moon. So, but I'm very excited. Just that got me interested in science and technology at an early age, was watching that and following the program through Skylab and all the other iterations, the shuttle program and all that. So I'm very excited.
You know, what's really interesting to me is that when we've seen now all of these activities, essentially in hindsight, about the space program, we've seen movies that have either highlighted the process, the start, the operation. And one of the first thing that blows my mind is that a lot of that happened right here in Huntsville,
Right.
and that a lot of what Huntsville is today is because those things were going on. So back in the day when I was perhaps watching some of the movies I used to see when I was younger, I didn't necessarily appreciate that as much because I hadn't made that connection yet.
Correct.
But the other part of that is just how dangerous
Right.
that thing was.
It's just amazing that, in the 60s, the everything that came together from a technology standpoint, and, they had to get there. There were safety measures put in place, but a lot of things that probably would not pass muster today, they kind of went with and just hope for the best. And that was just amazing to me. And when you think about the accomplishment based on the technology that they had at that time versus where we are now, it's just, like I said, it's just amazing when you look back on what we actually accomplished.
Yeah. I know every time I have a chance to go over to the Davidson Center for a social occasion, I always take full advantage of just sort of reconnecting
Right.
with that experience, because there really were some amazing things that happened then and actually continue to happen as we talk about not just returning to the moon, but also trying to fly a vehicle to Mars and return
Right.
it. So just a lot of cool stuff happening right in the city we live in. That's got to be really good.
Yeah, it is, and I had the pleasure of going with our youngest daughter, Leela, to the Space and Rocket Center for their robotics team, because, I think the robotics program this past time had a space thing to it. And so, watching the young kids connect with the past to see what actually happened here in Huntsville is always good, and passing on stories and whatnot to the next generation.
I could easily fill the whole show with the places that Kim is speaking, but I know you're just getting back from Atlanta, too, because you were involved in something called, it was Pivot Magazine's Pivotal Women Korean Business Resource Forum. Tell me a little bit about that.
A lady named Glenda Swan created Pivot Magazine years ago. She is a woman that has had to change her life because of certain circumstances, and because of that, she had to pivot. And she's just encouraging women that pivoting through life is not necessarily a bad thing, but it may change your outcome. So it was just us, a panel of women. It was myself, a woman from Birmingham, Glenda, and a lady from Atlanta, Yolanda, that actually, I had to make sure I remember their names, so I apologize. Had a chance to tell about our lives and how we actually had to do pivots through our lives to make sure and end up the successful women that we are today. So it was just a chance to highlight that and actually teach the younger generation about what's going on, and a chance to kind of tell our stories.
And I would imagine that you guys would probably say, maybe I sound smart when I say this, maybe I don't know, but I'll give it a shot, that business success is really all about continual pivots.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Project XYZ, it started off healthcare IT consulting with Kim, kind of just on her own. Then when I came over, I was an IT guy, and Project XYZ was an IT company. But, fast forward to now, we are an engineering logistics company, and, we still do some IT, but, engineering logistics is, our biggest part of our business right now, foreign military sales. So that was a big pivot for us just to continue to grow and grow the company.
And that's kind of how I talked about yesterday, because, life started off in one arena, but it has to change and do it, and you have to be acceptable to those changes, because otherwise, you're going to get stagnant and things are going to keep moving around you. You're not going to be able to chance to move up to the next level and succeed. So it's just one of those things that people got to realize it's okay for that to happen through life. So
Yeah, and as business leaders, too, and a lot of people in the feed this afternoon, I want to say thank you all for participating in the Facebook Live feed. I may want to add an extra segment for Kim and Larry, because you guys really swamp the feed whenever they get on. I know they've got good things to say, but it's all good. Thanks for being here this afternoon. But, when I think about just the whole notion of being business leaders really have to have a pretty broad toolkit in terms of being able to be successful.
Right.
You have to be able to not just experience or reflect on what you've done in the past, but be in the present, but also be able to see down the line into the future. And with that comes the potential, as you said, to have to change something, to pivot something, to remain flexible. How do you guys do that? You've done it before,
Yeah.
but I guess there are lots of people out there that may not be as understanding of that, or maybe more rigid to those things.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I guess for me, we kind of talk about, you always got to keep your eyes open for opportunities, looking at what the trends are and knowing how to manage risk. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think that I've ever learned is risk management because, there are a lot of opportunities out there. Not everything is for us. And you assess what the risk is for going into those opportunities. Sometimes you may, make a small bet on something just to see if it's going to work or not. And if it doesn't, if you maybe don't make money or lose some money on it, it doesn't, stop the whole show, so to speak, stop progress, so to speak. And so I think that's what we've been able to do successfully is that we just kind of keep our eyes open for opportunities, recognize the risks that are involved, and then we just try to,
And I think in our willingness to take those risks sometimes too. I mean, because a lot of time people are just scared to take risk and to seek those opportunities when they present themselves. Like we've been saying the whole time, it's kind of one of those uncomfortable situations where you just kind of figure out, okay, is this a doable thing? And if it is, then take the opportunity to do it. So.
Yeah. And I would imagine too that this is more of a calculated risk rather than kind of willy-nilly kind of thing.
Definitely.
I mean, you weigh in all the odds on everything's from the financial risk of it, from the viability of the actual project you're going to take the chance on. So it's just looking at all aspects of it. I mean, it's the risk, but it is truly something that you've gone through and done the due diligence on to make sure it's a risk that you're willing to take.
Yeah, one of the things, and maybe we'll talk about it at one of the shows in the future, is the trading style that I use now is all about risk management. And when I started doing that, it's when a lot of things kind of changed for me as related to risk and risk management. Knowing how to manage our options trades, different things that we're going to put money into from those sort of investments, kind of helped us learn a little bit more how to manage risk and risk opportunities.
And I guess it's just one of those things that we continue to look at opportunities too. So I know Larry does a lot with the trading options, but we look at risk on things that are just not trading options too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different people with different companies here in town that we look at that may want investments. So it's just looking at every opportunity that's presented to you and trying to weed out the ones that may not fit what your current goals are.
And where does somebody learn that, Larry? You came across very polished and saying that, very adept.
Years and years.
Yeah, I know it hasn't come easy, but how does one learn that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because it's always, ever since I was young, I always looked at business and business opportunities. I studied, I guess the way to say it this way, I always read a lot, looked at, you look at Forbes, Fortune, all the business magazines, things are, the TV shows, and just listen and then, watch like shows like Shark Tank. I mean, you can see the different types of companies that are coming on pitching and put the things that are being said. So, but just over the years of just kind of listening and watching and learning, you just kind of develop a skill set. And then it's one of those things, the more you do, the better you get. From a practice standpoint, because you got to make some mistakes. I mean, the first couple of companies that I invested in, like, in college and right out of college, we spent a lot of time and money. I mean, we had a disc company that helped Blue Disc to help students take tests back before you could use computers in the classroom.
It was a floppy disk.
That was a floppy disk, actually.
Yeah, I remember that now.
We had a music studio record label that we had invested in with another family down out of Tuskegee. So just going through things like that, we didn't have a lot of money, but we put money and time, sweat equity into it. But you learned a lot. Like I was telling my daughter, we were watching Songland the other day, and I was telling her, I had an experience because of the record label to go to Atlanta and be in a real studio with real musicians and producers while they crafted songs for an artist that we were working with at the time. And, that was like in 20-something when I was doing that. But, even though we're not in the music business, but I learned a lot just listening to them and how that business works and then just applying it to other things.
Yeah, a couple of things I took from what you just said. Number one, you got to read. You got to get in the information. You got to seek it out. It's not just going to come to you. You have to go after it. And the other thing is you have to try different kinds of things. You have to expose yourself to different kinds of environments in order to be able to benefit from as much as you can.
Yeah, one of the like growing up in the 90s when leveraged buyouts and all that was all the rage, and I never saw anybody that looked like me doing that until Reginald Lewis came along. And he had a book that was put out called "Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?" But it was based on he was the only African American at the time that was doing leverage buyouts or trying to do leverage buyouts. And if you read his book, that was just that. I mean, he said, "Why can't I do it?" Number one, two, he educated himself on it, and three, he started practicing. The very first couple of deals that he tried to do were not successful. He didn't close them, but he learned something from every deal that he did, and eventually he bought Beatrice Foods, which was one of the biggest acquisitions by an African American or almost anybody at the time that he made it. So it just starts with education and practice.
Well, that's great advice for sure. We are running out of time rapidly, and I would not want you guys to leave before you spend a few minutes celebrating your next big move. Of course, next week there'll probably be another big move. But Darnell Super Chef Ferguson has come to North Alabama. We'll be opening up a brand new restaurant in Tuscumbia this weekend on Friday. Big deal. I'm going to actually be in Charlotte, North Carolina, so I can't make it. I hate it.
You'll just have to come after when you get back.
I will. I try to reach out to Darnell and say, you got to stop the thing, man. You gotta
No.
He said, not a chance. Not really. But this is pretty exciting. Tell us about this.
Oh, yeah, it was one of those things, about almost 2 years ago, we were introduced to Darnell, and we were looking at different opportunities and locations to do this. We were looking at Huntsville at first, and then the opportunity came open for us to, Larry's from the Tuscumbia area, so opportunity came open for
you
him.
You got to tell the real story.
Okay, I'm doing the short version, and I'll let you do the long version.
Not the long version. You just got to keep it real sometimes. I mean,
5 minutes.
we had no interest in investing in a restaurant, and that people tried to get us to meet Darnell for a while, and they wanted us to go to Louisville, and we just didn't want to go. So he came to.
That's true, but
he
you
did.
have to do.
I'm just saying, it's just keeping it real about risk management. And so he came
doing the
down.
clean version.
We came down. We met, but it's a good part of it because we met him, and we loved his food, and we loved his story. We're glad that Oakwood provided the space for him to be able to do his first tasting when he came. And so Kim loved his food right away. Me being a numbers guy was like, yeah, the food is great, but what about the numbers? So fast forward through all the negotiation on that. His real intent was to be in Huntsville because everyone had said Huntsville was a growing market. And we pointed out that he would be one of 20 restaurants opening in Huntsville in 2019. But down in Tuscumbia or in the Shoals area, he'd be the star. And so that first trip down, it was a little interesting. I can only imagine what he was thinking driving from Louisville to Tuscumbia. And the place that we had the tasting down there was at the Rattlesnake Saloon, which is on the outskirts of Tuscumbia.
Wow.
So I didn't think that he was going to say yeah. But the people were so welcoming and warming, and people loved his food. We found a good spot for a location for the restaurant. The city, rolled out the red carpet to try to recruit him to come there and get us to help us with some of the investment that we had to make to get things rolling. And here we are. Friday will be the grand opening. I think we're cutting the ribbon at 4:30 on Friday, but it'll be some soft openings throughout the week. So people contact us if they may want to get in early before Friday.
All right.
So whenever you leave, you let me know.
Let's see what my schedule is this week. I'll check it out and let you know.
But we'll give you a scoop, Kenny. So since you are going to be gone, on July 13th, we're going to have a huge block party in Tuscumbia in front of the restaurant to celebrate Kim's birthday and to give people an opportunity to come see the restaurant. We've got a local band, R&B Vibes Live from Huntsville. They're going to come down and perform that evening, but it's going to be a day full of activities going on. And like I said, it's second Saturdays is what they call it in Tuscumbia, so they already blocked the street, so we're going to band and a big party. So everybody is welcome to come on down.
Wow, that's
July
awesome.
13th.
Well, thanks for letting us know right here on the station. We appreciate that. And as I check my July 13th calendar to make sure I'm going to be around, and wide open.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Got to come on down that day for sure. This is really good, and I know Kim wanted you to tell the sanitized version.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. But the reality is, you got all kinds of people this thing, and you don't always know. And that's
Right.
what you kind of know sometimes.
Right.
That
That's true.
things didn't quite go in a certain direction or was not anticipated to become
No, this was
something.
a 2-year
And this is-
project.
yeah.
2-year process, and it was talking about risk management and looking at things. We said, hey, we'll just buy this building. It was already a restaurant, and so it's like, well, it should be ready to go. Well, it was not. So
And anytime you renovate an old historic building, you run into issues.
a lot of issues. So budget was blown, but the
then
place
blown.
looks amazing, and
Yeah,
but
it
so
is.
it's
And
gonna
we're
take
excited.
place.
I
We're
mean, this
excited
is our
about it.
first time investing in something like this, and to see, because this is one of Darnell's dreams, is to continue to grow and to expand. So to be a part, to participate in that, and watch him do what he does, because he's a master in the kitchen, and the restaurant's going to be wonderful. So just to be a small part of that is actually a great thing for us to be.
Yeah,
Right.
it's got to be a lot of fun. There's got to be a lot of excitement involved in this process, and certainly, once again, congratulations on this initiative. This is huge for our community. It's just another representation, I think, of what's happening in North Huntsville, North Alabama. All along this corridor, there are all kinds of exciting things happening. We are literally, we're the toast of Alabama. And the toast of the nation when we think about Alabama. People are thinking about this community in this area. So
It is. I mean, that was one of the things that we heard several times while we were at the air show is other parts of Alabama were asking us, how are you guys able to do it? And it's just one of those things, I mean, because the team that went up from North Alabama literally was prepared from head to toe, and
Yeah.
we had meetings and agenda laid out before we even got to Paris.
Yeah.
So to be that prepared and ready to go, you have to be working ahead for that. So I just give kudos to the entire team that was out there. So
I was supposed to start up this conversation by saying bonjour.
yeah.
But,
You do learn to pick up a little bit while you're there. But merci.
And maybe one day I'll get a chance to go on these trips. Someone said maybe you can live the life your wife is living one day.
Oh,
perhaps
baby.
one day, Larry. Larry and Kim Lewis join me every fourth Sunday of the month for Pathways to Success. Always a vibrant and informative, insightful conversation about a lot of things in business. How can people connect with you guys? I know you got some simple ways for people to reach out.
Yeah, they can reach us at lewis@projectxyz.com. It's probably the easiest way because that'll hit both of us. But also, too, we got the opening next Friday down in Tuscumbia, but also next Saturday is the Position to Propel conference is actually going on here in North Alabama. It's actually going to be at the new AC Hotel. I'll be actually the keynote speaker to that, but Rashida has been working on this for the last couple months, and it's the second year of the Ignite. And it's a group of women coming together, so I want to make sure everybody's aware of that and get a chance to come out next Saturday. So
That's great. I think I saw that flyer. We'll make sure to post it on the Second Chance page, and I'll
Thank
post
you.
it on my page as well.
thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Larry and Kim, always good to see you guys.
Good to
Same
see
here.
you.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right, come back again next month.
We
We'll be
will.
here.
With spoiled.
We'll maybe get some other segments in.
Larry and Kim Lewis, they join me every fourth Sunday of the month for Pathways to Success, a conversation on business, and we hope that you learned a lot from them today. I know that I did, and we hope that you have an opportunity to hear from us as we continue to share information with you about these kinds of things on the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic day.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the